Hey everybody, Big V here, talking teams today. And guess what? We're going to talk about how do you motivate your team when sales are actually down. That's not an easy thing to do. And first of all, when sales are down, everybody gets down. And it's really easy to get on your people. I mean, how many times have you said about your teammates, they just don't want it bad enough, or I don't know why they don't work as hard as I do, or you wonder why they even do this if they're not going to try harder. Well, the reality is most people get up and they want to succeed. They just don't know what to do. And they're looking for great leadership from you to help drive them and to help give them inspiration and help give them direction so they can grow. The two roles, or the two most important things that you do as a leader are simply these. Number one is business development. It's your job to create opportunities to make it rain. And number two is people development. And that's really developing your people so that they are the best in the business. I've learned in a skills-based market, the better trained your people are, the more likely it is they create separation between themselves and the average agent. We want to be better than average, and we do that through skills development. So when things are down, I found that there's no substitute for positive action. Action is the biggest motivator because when you're actively doing the right things, you automatically start seeing results. Even though they might be delayed, it just feels good because you know you're doing everything you can to make a difference. Mahala out of South Carolina, a friend and a coaching client, runs a highly productive team and found that her sales were really off. And she started really digging into her numbers. She started looking at how many calls the team was making, how many appointments they were setting, and they were doing the same effort. They were working as hard as they were a year ago, but the sales were drastically lower. And she wanted to know why. So she started listening to the calls, what were they saying? And then she started listening to the dialogue and she listened to the other side. And what she found was it's not that what they were doing was wrong. They just weren't doing enough of it. So what was working a year ago got them a certain result. Well, the same effort this year has to be almost doubled to get the same amount of sales, but their production was the same. So all they had to do is increase the number of dials, the number of conversations, and the number of appointments set if they were going to get back to normal. What I found that was as she sat down and had one-on-ones with each of the agents, she reviewed their business plan. She looked at each of their vision boards. She asked them if those things were still important to them, and they all said yes. Then she showed them the numbers, showing that she recognized and knew they were working just as hard as they had a year ago, but weren't getting the same result. And that if they wanted to be financially where they were a year ago, they were going to have to increase their effort. Just by pointing out the numbers and showing that she deeply cared about what was important to them, it changed the behavior of the individual. And by changing the behavior of the individuals on the team, what do you think happened? It absolutely changed the culture of productivity that happened in the team. First, their calls went up, their conversations went up, their appointment set went up, and best of all, is their sales went up. As a team leader, your job is to take the time to understand where people are and meet them there and then elevate them. And sometimes it's just a matter of giving them the numbers or the information that they need to know so they can change their behavior. Most people don't change their behavior because they don't know whether or not what they're doing is working or not working. Motivating a sales team that's underperforming requires us to do things that are a little different. I would like to give you 6 things that will help you drive and inspire and motivate your team in order. Number 1 is this: clearly defined roles and clearly defined goals. If you don't know what your goal is, it doesn't matter how much you shout at them, they don't know when they've gotten there. They don't know where they're going. It's kind of like getting in your car and listening to your GPS say, GPS, take me somewhere great. Where do you think you're going to end up? It might take you to Taco Bell or McDonald's thinking that that's great when you were really thinking of a high-end steakhouse. The reality is the more specific you are about your goals of where it is you want to go, the more clear the directions will be getting there. The same is true with your team. The second thing is it's time that we increase our training and development. Most training and development in real estate is designed to keep you from getting sued instead of teaching you how to be great at the business. At Workman Success, when we build training, whether it's buyer agent mastery, listing agent training, new agent training with RAMP, or even admin training in AMP, each of those training programs are tactical in nature and they're designed to create excellence in the role without the consideration of whether or not it's going to be approved for continuing education, because I just don't care. I appreciate the need for continuing education. I think it's important that we continue to educate, but the purpose of continuing education is to keep from getting sued and do things in the best interest of the consumer. While I agree with that, nobody teaches you how to sell. No one teaches you how to serve regardless of opportunity. Nobody teaches you tactically what to say and how to say it so you can move people from being frustrated to being engaged in real estate. And that's what we do in our training. We have the training specifically designed to elevate your performance as an expert in real estate. Number 3 is every office has a culture that is either accidentally created or it's intentionally created. I want you to create a culture that is positive and that's inspiring and that is productive. So how do you do that? You get up every day and you do a daily huddle. You celebrate the wins from yesterday, as small as they might be. And remember, we focus on progress, not perfection. The next thing you do in a huddle is then you role play, you practice our scripts and our dialogues. Then we get on the phones as a team and we just prospect. Look, if all we do is prospect and present, if you're not presenting, if you're not with a buyer or seller presenting, then you should be prospecting. So an hour a day is the minimum. That means if you're not showing houses to someone or sitting in a listing appointment, there's only one other thing to be doing, and that's picking up the phone and prospecting. And so when I walk into your offices, is there a buzz? Is there this excitement going on with people high-fiving each other because I set an appointment, because I made my 100th dial, because I converted a for sale by owner or expired listing? Are you creating that buzz and excitement in the positive culture? Or do you have a culture where when you come in, it feels like somebody just passed and that we're just wallowing in our mediocrity and we're trying to figure out who we're going to go to lunch with next? Every office has a culture. What's yours? Is it a culture of productivity? Is it a culture of fun? Are we kicking butt and taking names? Are we high-fiving each other all the way to the bank? Or are we just wallowing in mediocrity? It's up to you. You can choose to change it. The next is accountability. And we really have to make a decision that we're going to hold our people accountable to the promises they made to their families. It's not accountability for my benefit. It's accountability for their benefit. You see, accountability to me is love. Have you ever, now as a parent, and I have 6 children and all these grandkids, 10 of them to be exact, I've learned that accountability is not something you do to someone because you don't like them. When I set curfew for my kids in high school, it was because I cared about them and I never wanted them to be in a situation where they had to make hard choices. So we set a curfew. You got to be home by midnight on a weekend. Not because I don't trust them, but because I love them so much, I don't want them to be hurt or harmed. You see, accountability is love. It's not something that's harsh. And when you create a culture of accountability in your real estate team or on your real estate practice, you show your people that you deeply care about how much you want them to grow and how much you believe in them and what they're able to accomplish. Accountability is a choice they make as opposed to something you actually do to them. And the last is this, and that is, it's important that as a leader that you lead by example. It's one thing to tell people what they should do, but if you don't actually do the work and you don't show up and role play and you don't practice scripts and dialogue, what kind of an example are you? If when you're with your clients, you're not the very best you can possibly be, if you don't invest in training and coaching and personal development, but you expect them to do it, what kind of example are you setting? Is it okay to tell your children that you're not going to lie and you want them to be honest, but you lie to them and you're not honest to them? You see, people listen, they watch our actions more than they listen to our words. So are your actions consistent with your words? Do you set the example for your team members and your family of the kind of person that you want to be? If you want to be a great leader, then lead by example. There's a couple things that I'd like to give you. I want you to think about going back and watching a video. I'm going to put the link right here. I did a video earlier that talks about how to motivate your team without spending a bunch of money. It's a great video where I give examples of team members and team leaders who've done a great job of motivating their people with different kinds of contests and things like that. I'd like you to download that. And then we have a brand new program called It's a One-Page Business Plan that allows you to go in and help people figure out in one page what their goals are. And you can easily reflect on that one-page business plan to decide what's important to them so you can inspire, motivate, and drive excellence within your team.